This is Tracking the Week. On Monday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Guinea-Bissau emerged as the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States. In his remarks, Nigerian leader called on ECOWAS to stand firm on democracy, declaring that we will not accept coup after coup in West Africa again. Democracy is very difficult to manage, but it is the best form of government. Tinubu warned that terrorism and the emerging pattern of coup d'etat in West Africa had reached alarming levels and demanded urgent concerted actions. Therefore, he called for collective action from member states, pledging that under his leadership, frameworks would be harmonized to actualize the dreams of ECOWAS. The special advisor to the President on Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, Dele Alake, reviewed this in a statement and signed on Sunday, titled President Tinubu Emerges as New ECOWAS Chairman, Hubs on Regional Security. According to the statement, in a unanimous endorsement, Tinubu emerged as the new chairman of the ECOWAS at the 63rd Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government in Guinea-Bissau. Still on Monday, former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo was commended for his patriotism and quality service to the development of Nigeria. He was commended by some governors and former members of the Federal Executive Council during a special public thanksgiving and appreciation reception held at Ikenne, Ogun State. He was joined by dignitaries across the country, including serving and former governors, former members of the Executive Council, traditional rulers, and other indigents of Ogun State. On his part, the Ogun State Governor Dagbo Abiodun described the former vice president as a worthy son of the state, adding that the state is proud of his achievements. The former vice president appreciates the guests who honored him with their presence and commended the Ikenne Development Association for putting up the program. For Dolapo Osinbajo, she had a special message for her husband and she prefers to deliver it through music. And now, on Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu forwarded the names of the newly appointed security chiefs to the Senate for approval and confirmation. Recall that President Tinubu had on June 19, 2023, appointed the new service chiefs in acting capacity. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, at the resumed plenary of the Senate on Tuesday, read a letter received from the President wherein he requested the approval and confirmation of the new service chiefs who are now operating in acting capacity. The new service chiefs are Chief of Defense Staff Major General C.G. Musa, Chief of Army Staff Major General T.A. Lagbaja, Chief of Naval Staff Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala, and Air Vice Marshal H.B. Abubakar. Following the reading of the letter, the Committee of the Whole was tasked with considering Mr. President's request. And now, on Wednesday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wrote to the National Assembly seeking an amendment to the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act. In the letter read on the floor of the House by the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, the President requested lawmakers to allow the federal government source 500 billion naira for palliative to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. The President said the money will be sourced from the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act of 819.5 billion naira. The Speaker said the House will consider the President's request at plenary on Thursday. Now, still on Wednesday, the motion to receive the disbursement of 500 billion naira Development Bank of Nigeria loan to the 6 geopolitical zones resurfaced in the Senate, with lawmakers resolving that the matter be reinvestigated. Efforts to bring back the controversial motion by its sponsor, Senator Ali Ndume, suffered a setback last Wednesday as the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, stood it down and advised the sponsor to represent it. Ndume had queried the rationale behind the stepping down, noting that the fund was unevenly shared among states. During Wednesday's plenary, Senator Ndume raised the motion once again, which prompted a divided debate on the matter. While some lawmakers insisted that the disbursement was not favorable for some regions, others reminded them that the loan had criteria to be met. According to them, the requirements were not met by some geopolitical zones. The Senate therefore resolved to take another look at the matter and report back in 4 weeks. Finally, on Wednesday, the House of Representatives has urged the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) to rethink and allow its results to be valid for at least 3 years and conduct the entry exams at least twice annually. This was sequel to a motion sponsored by Honorable Akintunde Rotimi on the need for the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board examination result to be valid for 3 years. He said the House is concerned that the JAMB examination result is valid for only 1 year, and if candidates cannot secure admission into any tertiary institution of their choice in the academic year the exam was taken, the result, no matter how good, becomes useless. He also said despite the incessant strikes embarked upon by ASUU, which led to the loss of a complete academic calendar, JAMB still went ahead to administer its examination without recourse to the veiling industrial action by ASUU. Honorable Rotimi said it's worrisome that the backlog of candidates waiting for admission into the limited vacancies in Nigeria's tertiary institutions and its attendant pressure on the education system and parents. The lawmakers also urged the Ministry of Education to put mechanisms in place to ensure that the resolution is implemented. On Thursday, after a screening process that lasted more than 2 hours, the Senate on Thursday confirmed the nomination of service chiefs newly appointed by the president. This followed the screening of top brass by the upper chamber. The president had, in a letter read on Monday on the floor of the Senate, requested that the red chamber confirm the service chiefs. The Senate, upon resumption of plenary on Thursday, started the screening of the service chiefs, with each of them mounting the podium to speak on how they will tackle insecurity in the country if confirmed. Akpabio noted that the service chiefs responded to questions from senators on different security issues. When the confirmation request was put to debate, many of the senators supported the confirmation. The Senate president subsequently approved the confirmation of the service chiefs. The service chiefs confirmed are Major General C.G. Musa, Chief of Defense Staff; Major General T.A. Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff; Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff; AVM H.B. Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff; IGP Kayode Egbetokun; Acting Inspector General of Police, Major General E.P.A. Udiandeye, Chief of Defense Intelligence. Still on Thursday, the House of Representatives granted an accelerated approval for the request of 500 billion naira by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the plenary. This is sequel to a letter of request as written to the National Assembly for the approval of 500 billion naira from the Supplementary Appropriation Act for provision of palliatives to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy in Nigeria. The request, which passed through the first, second and third reading on the House floor, will, according to the Speaker, provide solution for the hardship being faced by Nigerians following the removal of fuel subsidy by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The breakdown of the supplementary appropriation includes the 500 billion for palliatives and other capital expenditure to cushion the effect of recent subsidy removal policy, 185.287 billion naira to the Ministry of Works and Housing to alleviate the impact of severe flooding experience in the country in 2022 on road infrastructure across the 6 geopolitical zones. 19.2 billion naira to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to ameliorate the massive destruction to farmlands across the country during the severe flooding experienced last year. 35 billion naira to National Judicial Council, 10 billion naira to Federal Capital Territory Administration for critical projects, and 70 billion naira to National Assembly to support the working conditions of new lawmakers, respectively. Now on Friday, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Nigeria-Cameroon Border Dispute has urged Nigerians to remain calm and patient and trust the efforts of those charged legally to resolve the dispute. The chairman of the committee, Benny La, made the call while addressing journalists at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, on Friday. According to her, constructive dialogue, negotiation and cooperation were essential to reaching a fair and just solution that respects historical, cultural and social ties while protecting the rights of Nigerian citizens. La said there was urgent need to outline the correct border stretch between the two countries to protect the rights and interests of Nigerians living in the affected areas. The lawmaker, however, expressed appreciation to the Office of the National Security Advisor and the National Boundary Commission, the Office of the Surveyor General, and the Nigerian Armed Forces of their support and cooperation to the committee. Still on Friday, Nigeria's Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, appealed to Nigerians and stakeholders to see the Great Green Wall initiatives as an emergency rescue operation. The Vice President was speaking at the inaugural Great Green Wall Day celebration at the State House Conference. The Vice President was speaking at the inaugural Great Green Wall Day celebration at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, where he delivered the keynote address. Shettima declared that the cost of not completing it was threatening the collective existence of the people. VP Shettima recalled that President Bola Tinubu promised to complete the Great Green Wall in his campaign manifesto and added that marking the day demonstrated the commitment of the administration to the initiative as an act of self-preservation, describing the Great Green Wall as the largest living structure on the planet as envisioned by the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. The Director General of the National Agency for the Great Green Wall, Yusuf Bukar, said the initiative stretches 8,000 kilometers across Africa. He said that the Great Green Wall would usher in a new era of sustainability and economic growth. Finally, on Friday, a Nigerian Air Force FT-7NI trainer aircraft crashed in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. The incident happened on Friday evening while on a routine training exercise. Nigeria Air Force Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, confirmed the incident, saying 2 pilots on board the aircraft survived and were being observed in a military facility. According to the statement, both pilots are currently under observation at Nav Base Hospital, Makurdi. Meanwhile, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has constituted a board of inquiry to determine the immediate and remote cause of the crash. And that's all on Tracking the Week.